have with us Kelly Reed from Blitz Weekly and Royce Waxenfelter from Viking Wax Press. And we're going to be talking football. We're going to be talking football cards. And specifically, we're going to be talking about bad dudes. Not like criminals, but like guys you'd want on your side in a fight. Like tough guys, rough guys, guys that look just like they can give somebody the business, you know. Um, so, any things from your week before we jump into the topic, guys?
I mean, obviously you got the Super Bowl coming up. I don't know if y'all wanted to throw a blurb out there, but hey, for you Northwest guys, I'm sure you're happy that your Seahawks are in it.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know, I'm a Bills guy, but today I'm wearing a Seahawks hat because I'm not a Patriots guy.
Any wild predictions between the two of y'all?
I think the Seahawks are going to stomp them, personally.
Yeah,
I think the record that the Patriots had, they got through a bunch of weak teams. The one good team they beat was the Bills. Other than that, they didn't really have any competition. So I think they're full of hot air.
yeah,
Interesting. How about for you, Aaron? You got a prediction or anything on
yeah.
your
I think the
score or
Seahawks defense is really good. I also think the Patriots, had no Bo Nix against the Broncos, and they kind of got lucky with their pull of who they played. And I mean, they're good, but I don't think they're great. And I think, they kind of got the luck of the draw and didn't have
I
to
actually think they're going to be better
best.
next year and the year. I think they're kind of at their ground level and going to rise.
Yeah,
So I'd be worried more about next year and the year after that,
yeah.
if you're in the
personally.
AFC East, you're saying?
Yes, like the Bills.
Okay.
We'll see.
Well,
We'll see.
I'm going to
Yeah.
throw out the wild score prediction of Seahawks win. I'm going with my heart, 24-20. I
Okay.
think it's
Oh,
close towards
that's
the end,
close.
and Sam Darnold somehow he's lucked his way into it. I think he lucks one more time and pulls out the big dub.
Cool. Yeah, I
Nice.
think it's a fun story with
Yeah.
Darnold. So, yeah.
AFC and AFC East New York Jets kid, right?
Yeah, 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 and people kind of tossing him to the side, and then here he is, so um,
Well, like I said,
so
it's way too early prediction. So, Aaron, let's rock and roll, man. Let's get into this
okay,
bad boys of the NFL.
cool. So I first got a vintage guy. This is Chuck Bednarik. They
Yeah.
called him Concrete Charlie, and he was just tough as nails. He played both ways, center full time, linebacker full time, all pro both, and then he also was their kicker,
Hmm.
which I learned on the back of this card. But yeah, can you imagine a guy now being playing full time offense, full time defense, and kicking the ball? Um, you know, Basically three jobs on an NFL roster nowadays, and he's a little bit famous for knocking down Wyatt Tittle and standing above him, and uh, you know, pretty tough hit, and there were not the like quarterback rules back then, and so he you could just lay somebody out, and so um, he did, and he was considered one of the hardest hitters.
Have you ever seen pictures of his fingers?
Yeah, they're all gnarly and
Yeah,
beat up.
they're every different
They're
way.
mangled, and yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. Just looking at those hands, you know he had to be tough to fight through all that and play through
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And he got a title with the Eagles, right? Back in, was it 62?
I think 1960.
60?
I
Okay.
believe so. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But how
Well,
about you, Kelly? Who was your first?
I'm leading off with a guy that tormented my Dallas Cowboys for it feels like forever and a day. One Jack Lambert.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's number five on my list. The Kent State was it Golden Flash? He even has an award named after him at Kent State for the most improved member of the defense each year. So
Hmm.
that certainly adds to his lore. Um, let's see what else I got for you. Apparently, his college teammates were one Nick Saban
Hmm.
Oh,
and
really?
Gary Pinkel. Both went on to coach in college football.
Okay.
And yeah, obviously, and Saban had a little stint with the Dolphins, I think, at one point in the like early aughts.
Hmm.
But yeah, getting back to the Jack Lambert stuff, I think that what kind of sets the tone is his Super Bowl 10 um, confrontation of one Dallas Cowboy Cliff Harris, who was like taunting the Steelers kicker Gorella, Roy Gorella, and apparently Lambert took offense to this and slammed Cliff Harris to the turf at halftime there as they were trotting off the field, and the Steelers turned it around. We know they won the game. Uh, probably set the that mark of intimidation for him. Um, one of the things, other things I had heard was the Steelers. They only have like three like officially retired numbers
Hmm.
for I think it's like Franco Harris, Mean Joe Green, and then one of the old school guys that's like really famous in their history. I'm not a big Steelers fan, but Lambert apparently had words with the equipment manager saying like my number is not to be issued again. And
Hmm.
apparently there's a miscommunication because Lambert had an altercation apparently with said equipment manager, but no one's ever worn his number since. So I guess he set the tone there. Lastly, I was going to say when your nickname's like what was it, Dracula and Cleats?
Oh
You
yeah.
know, that's pretty good. And then his quote. Did y'all ever hear the story about him and Randy Gradishar of the Broncos?
Mm-mm.
So in 1974, they're both rookies, and Gradishar in the pregame goes up to Lambert to introduce himself. He's like, "Hi, I'm Randy Gradishar," and then Lambert apparently just looked at him and said, "Who the f cares?" So I figure that's pretty bad whenever you're throwing the uncensored version on the football field.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, man, his hits, his tackles, that look, missing some teeth,
Yeah.
definitely an intimidating guy and a bad dude in the NFL.
Yeah.
Nice. Good choice.
He was definitely one of the guys that I had on my list, but I luckily I chose not to do him. I figured one of you guys would certainly do Jack Lambert. So
This
yeah,
guy.
nice, good pick.
Well, who do you have for your number five on baddest men of the NFL, sir?
So I've got this guy, and this is the back of a card. Here's the front of the card. It's a foil one, so it's hard to see, but that's John Randall. The back of the card kind of shows a little more of his intimidating factor. Um, and he often wore like a black face
Oh yeah,
and almost like the whole mask of because he was big into wrestling and actually was a pro wrestler. Um, so he liked to really shout and get into people's face. He was the trash talker extraordinaire of his time, kind of late 90s era Vikings, which was some of their best eras. But he was such a dominant force too for several years for them. So, and then he went on to play for the Seahawks. So I like him a lot for those two teams that he played on, and then just his voraciousness and how mean he was and how he'd let everybody hear it all the time. So to
Yeah.
me,
what's the
he's
Now, was he
defensive end?
undrafted?
that's a good question. Let me find out.
I think he was undrafted, and he was one of those kind of guys who just like had to prove himself.
Hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't say on this card, but I bet you're
I'm
right.
pretty
Yeah.
sure, and he's a Hall of Famer now too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like those guys who were like came from nowhere, 12th round or undrafted or whatever, and became Hall of Famers just because of their grit and their toughness.
Yep.
Good
Definitely.
choice. Okay, cool. All right. So next round, our fourth pick, I picked Ronnie Lott,
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
49ers. Famously kept playing when he broke a finger. I guess he just put it back into place and kept playing. Um, and I guess now it's not healed up right to this day, but this guy just a hard hitter. You know, I interviewed a guy that played alongside of him, and he said, he was just a hard hitter. Nobody wanted to practice against him, and he kind of he had a lot of talent and a lot of speed and all that, but it was his hits he was really known for, and just being a defensive back that nobody wanted to go across the middle. Nobody wanted him to lay him out. So Ronnie Lott was my number four.
Hey, Aaron, I was going to ask. Apparently, I heard that he had it what like partially amputated, right?
Oh, that's right. That's right. He
Yeah,
he
because
was
he got
like,
kind of caught in the face mask, and then
yeah, that's right.
and it was right before the Super Bowl, and they're like, "Hey, Either you can get this like stitched up and you'll be out, or he said, nope, chop it. Let's go to
Yeah,
work.
that's right. I know it was something with the fingers, but that's you're correct.
Yeah. For me, man, my number four of baddest men of the NFL is one Ray Lewis.
Good pick.
Yeah, this is a 1999 Bowman card from early in his career. I think he started in '96 with the Ravens. He was a first round pick. Um, and so, yeah, as soon as he stepped on the field, he already had that like Miami Hurricanes kind of swagger to him. But he brought
Hmm.
it. He was a high school wrestler. He won state in his weight class in Florida, in the state of Florida where he grew up. Um, but again, he was tackler, extraordinaire. He made the Pro Bowl in like the '90s, the aughts, as well as like the 20 teens. And so certainly Ray Lewis, he brought it. He intimidated opposing quarterbacks and got in the minds of those offensive linemen that were trying to protect the QB. One of the other things I was going to mention here is that he's the second linebacker ever to win a Super Bowl MVP. Do y'all know
Wow.
who the first one is?
Chuck
Who?
Howley.
Close.
Oh,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
Chuck Howley.
Who was it?
Chuck Howley of the Dallas
Yeah.
Cowboys.
Oh,
In
yeah.
Super Bowl five against the Colts. But Ray Lewis did it for a winning team. Howley Cowboys lost that one 16-13 that day. But yeah, again, Ray Lewis, he holds three NFL records here. I'm looking at he has most career combined tackles, most career solo tackles, most solo tackles in a season.
Wow.
Again, he's an all-star Super Bowl winner. Y'all know about his off-the-field incidents with him protecting himself, defending himself. So he's a bad dude. And Trent Dilfer had a quote saying, "There's an intensity to Ray Lewis. The intensity is authentic. It's genuine. It's always directed at making the football organization better." When I say he's at his best, he really, in my experience with the NFL, is one of those players that prepares, leads, and plays. So definitely, he's a bad man. One Ray Lewis.
Yeah, I'd put him up there along with John Randall as somebody who did a lot of trash talking on the field too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And kind of backed it up.
Swagger.
Not like I'm going to talk and then get beat. I'm going to talk and beat you.
Yeah.
Oh, well, how about you, Royce? What do you have for your number four, round four?
I'm gonna go with this guy. This is Bubba Smith. This is a 71 card. Crazily enough, this was the exact same picture they used for, I think, five different cards, starting with the Kellogg's 1970 card of him. Um, so all the way through 75, they used the same picture. But Bubba Smith, if you grew up in the 80s, you also recognize him probably from all the Miller Lite commercials that he was in with, like John Madden and all those guys. And he was basically the muscle in those commercials and just imposing big dude. Uh, and he was super tall. Let's see how tall he was, if it says on here. 6'7". So big stature and just imposing. Um, and he played Colts, Raiders, Oilers, several teams, but he was pretty dominant on the field and just a guy you would not want to mess with just sheer size alone. So
Yeah. And
Bubba
then
Smith
the
and
Police
his name is
Academy
great too.
movies too, right? He was
Yeah.
the tough guy in those.
Yep. In the Police Academy movies. Yeah.
Yeah. He
That's
was like, "Ooh,
hilarious in
don't
the
mess with
80s.
that guy."
Yeah.
That's greatness. Hey, Royce, I was going to ask you on that 71 set, and Aaron, do y'all have a complete set of those cards, or is that one of those you're working on, or?
It's one of my favorite as far as the look goes, but I don't have it. I've only got about a quarter of it. My real collecting didn't start until like starting at 75, so I'm backfilling kind of the early 70s stuff as I go.
How about you, Aaron?
I don't. I bought a lot of that from eBay or something, or maybe one of the things on Facebook, um, for pretty cheap, and I got a bunch of doubles and everything. So I probably got about 70 of them that kind of got me started, and then
Mm-hmm.
I've added some more. but yeah, that was the first big bunch of those I got, and I really liked the look, the bold colors, and the little player down at the bottom, and I do like that year quite a lot.
Well, maybe between the three of us, we'll have half a set. So
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
let's
It's
go
on
on
my
to round
list. It's one I
three,
would love
right?
to work on. But
Oh,
yeah.
definitely, man. Definitely.
All right, so I'll start up round three. I've got Mel Blount here,
Oh, good
another
one.
Pittsburgh Steeler from that steel curtain defense. And this guy, he was one of the first players I knew that shaved his head, and he just looked tough with that bald head. And you know, uh, he really was bump and run cornerback, and he made the wide receivers pay. And they actually changed the rules because of him to give that 5 yard cushion because he would just like take somebody out of the play, and they were done. So that Steelers defense just kind of makes you think of tough, makes you think of gritty. They were talented, but what you think of is like steel, like I'm not gonna get
The
past these
curtain, the
guys,
steel curtain,
right?
right?
Yeah. So yeah, I picked him. I heard him on a radio show once, and he was pretty humble and he was pretty cool, but he was like, yeah, I'm the one they started changing these rules for. And you can actually thank me for some of the passing that's going on in today's game because they loosened it up because of me.
Oh
So
man, yeah, as a wide receiver in the 60s, 70s, even like early 80s, going across the middle, man, that is like no
yeah.
man's land.
Right. Yep.
Well, for me, man, my number three is I'm going with the defensive lineman. So I'm sure Royce and you will appreciate this. He's
Oh yeah,
one Deacon Jones,
Nice.
absolutely. That's
and
cool.
he's
So that's an auto card, huh?
oh
Autograph.
yeah, I got this like back in the early aughts when I before I kind of dipped out of collecting cards. Life got in the way with like a house and marriage and kids. But yeah, when I had discretionary income in the early aughts, I bought some packs and I pulled a Deacon Jones card and yeah, man, remember the fearsome foursome? Invented the term sack. The way you would club like
Hmm.
linemen or QBs upside the helmet with the cast on his wrist. Like, I mean, he was a bad man, and you know, his head slap would just like knock people out. And I guess the quote he gave himself, and this is a great quote, man. The quote he gave himself, he said, "I'm probably the toughest MF here. Ain't no question about that with me. I'm the toughest guy here. I'm clean. I mean, I ain't got no marks on me. I don't know nobody else who can say that they came out of any sport that has no marks. I ain't got no marks like this. So I've got to be the baddest dude I know of." Like he's confident, man. He's gonna bring it every play, man. And he did that, man, with the Rams, the Chargers, and the Redskins.
Yeah, some
Cool.
defenses that were tough. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Well,
Okay,
Royce, how
so
about you, man?
for me, I'm going along those lines, but not quite at that level. But still, Coy Bacon for me was one of the tougher guys of his era. And this is for him for the Redskins, but he bumped around a lot from the Bengals and in the 70s and stuff. But he always uh, really looked fierce and played fierce. Um, and then I also like him because he ended up playing for the Washington Federals in the USFL, and I'm a big USFL guy. So Coy Bacon, um, he started out in the Continental Football League in 1968. So pretty cool. In fact, I'll get more on that later. But oh, side note, did you guys see that Jerry Glanville got hired as the defensive coordinator for the San Antonio Toros
Uh,
of the Continental Football League?
That's a uh, name from the past.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
he who
84
turned
years
the
old.
Oh
NFL
wow.
like the no fun league. That Jerry Glanville.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's 84.
He's 84 and going to be a defensive coordinator. But when
Wow.
he did an interview and he sounds just like super sharp and ready to
Oh
go.
really? Wow.
So yeah, it's
Cool.
pretty
Hey,
exciting.
Royce, I was going to mention on the Coy Bacon card. Every time I see his name, and I can thank Aaron for sending me my first ever Coy Bacon card, a 1973 Topps football card. So thank
Yeah.
you, Aaron, and hey, Royce, thank you for bringing Coy back into my life again.
always. Yep, he's great.
I love that card. I think he played. Who did he play for? He took Deacon Jones's place in the Rams,
Yeah,
and that's
and
why the
then
Rams got let him go to the Redskins, and
the
so they were
airbrushed
like,
helmet, like how obvious it is, and you're like,
"Oh, right, right,
heck
the
is not
airbrushing."
Kelly.
Yeah, yeah, but he played on the Rams, Chargers,
Bengals,
Bengals,
Redskins. Yep.
Redskins, yeah, and just piled up the sacks. I don't know why teams didn't hold on to him because,
Yeah, I think one year somebody said he got 23 one year, but it was an unofficial stat. So
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
lot of sacks in one year.
And say Deacon Jones could talk to you about, unofficial sacks.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Cool.
yeah.
All right. Well, I will start round two. I have a redo here. I have Jack Lambert.
Nice.
This one you can kind of see his teeth right there. Like,
Or lack thereof.
yeah, check him
Yes,
out.
two
Um,
front teeth.
but yeah, he was tough and an all pro, and just that enforcer in the middle of that steel curtain defense. Um, kind of the guy who called the defensive plays and just set the tone for their nastiness. And I just remember growing up, if you think of like a tough football player in the 70s and 80s, you thought of Jack Lambert. So he's kind of my first, growing up, my first introduction to like a tough bad dude.
Yeah.
I already spoke on him, so you know how I think and how I feel.
Yep.
Well, I guess I'll move on to my number two of my top five. Number two for me is one Richard Marvin Butkus.
Oh,
Oh,
there you go.
nice.
Yep. That's a good
And
one.
I think, yeah, this picture on this card kind of, you know, it showcases his talents of breaking through the line and getting after the QB. And, he was a run enforcer. He could stop it. Again, try to run over the middle across him. He's going to let you know that it's coming all day, every day. He's got an award named after him, a Buckus Award winner. So we're well versed on his, ferociousness and his intensity, punishing hits, psychological warfare. He brought it all every game for the Bears from like 65 to 73, I think.
Mhm.
Uh, and again, apparently, do y'all know the story about him and Floyd Little?
Oh,
Okay, so again, somehow the Broncos keep getting thrown in the mix here, but apparently the Bears and the Broncos were playing, and Floyd Little, or was it with the Dolphins? Well, anyways, so Floyd Little gets tackled by Butkus, hits him so hard, that Butkus is like, "Hey, are you okay?" Floyd Little's like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm good." And he goes, "Then why are you in our huddle?" So I mean, he just knocked like the daylights out of this guy, man. Floyd Little had no idea where he was at, man.
That's funny.
The big quote on Dick Butkus that I pulled was, and this is from Deacon Jones. Deacon Jones said Dick was an animal. I called him a maniac, a stone maniac. He was well-conditioned animal. Every time he hit you, he tried to put you in the cemetery, not the hospital.
Wow.
wow.
So yeah, Deacon Jones said that about old Richard Marvin Butkus.
Wow. That's a
That's
tough
right.
guy if he's trying to put you in the cemetery. Yeah.
Well,
Um,
Royce, what about you, man? For your number two on your top five.
so I'm going with this guy. This is Carl Eller, and they called him the Moose. He went to college in Minnesota, then played for Minnesota for years, still lives in Minnesota. But this picture shows that big square Band-Aid on his head that he just would just get in people's grill. Part of the Purple People Eaters. So I had to include at least one Purple People Eater in the bad guys because they were a tough bunch. Um, but to me, he was the toughest of all of them. And Alan Page kind of got all the all-pro years, but Carl Eller had the longevity and just the meanness, I guess. Uh, and he still represents the Vikings today. Goes to all their fan events and stuff. So one of my heroes, and he was just dominant too. He's another tall, big dude in the middle, or on the edge. Sorry, he was on the edge, but yeah, he kind of did a lot of the first really just bull rush kind of moves through through defenses, and with him, and then page in the middle, they would just crash, collapse that side and just get to the quarterback fast. Their mission was every single play meet at the quarterback. So I like him for that.
I was gonna ask, have you guys ever like looked at his other 70s like tops cards of Carl Eller?
Hmm.
Like he looks intimidating. Like
Yeah.
face
Yeah.
mask on and just kind of glaring into like the eyes of the photographer while the photographer's like trying to like take a picture. I'm like, he looks like a man you don't want to mess with,
That's
man.
right. That's why I picked him too. Because yeah, every single card, he just looks mean. He looks
Yeah.
mean.
Like, don't hurt me,
And
don't hurt
Yeah.
me.
like you said, he's a nice guy he's signing autographs, but yeah, I'm sure back in the playing days, yeah, opposing offensive linemen were like, man, I got to deal with this all day. Yes,
Hmm.
all day.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so for round one, unfortunately, Kelly stole my thunder again. I got Deacon Jones.
Yeah.
Um, again, such a bad dude. I read his book called Head Slap, and it was just so full of so many stories of him fighting a group of guys, or like, he grew up in the South in the 50s and early 60s, and he was not a shy person, so he'd get himself in trouble, because his skin color. um and then he'd have to fight his way out of it, and he always managed to. But he never got arrested, or he never went to that level, but he had a lot stacked against him. And he still kept persevering. He kept his head down, he kept going. And then he was pretty outspoken too, later on. And then he it was interesting the way he trained. When he got to LA, there was no, you know, trainers helping him through or whatever. He would take like army boots and kind of fill them up with sand, put them
Wow.
on, and then run on the beach until he couldn't run anymore.
Hmm.
So, like, he's got his own little training regimen, and it's really interesting read if you can ever find it. Um, but throughout the whole book, it's like this guy is tough. Like you were saying, the head slap, they had to outlaw that because he would just basically just whack somebody up beside the head, even with their helmet on. He'd knock him dizzy. Um, so another guy that they had to change the rules because he was too tough to go against if they didn't change the rules. Somebody's going to get hurt. And, a lot of people did. But yeah, to me, he kind of exemplifies a tough football player.
Well, definitely. I want to read that book, man. So
It's great.
definitely in the show notes, throw that in there so that we can check it out and go get our own copies. Half price books or check it out at the library or something
Yeah.
like that.
All right, who do you got, Kelly?
Well, my number one, and I figured one of you two guys are going to pick the same guy I'm picking because we're great minds. We all think alike. But this guy definitely changed the way offenses had to scout. He changed the game at so many different levels with his intensity, and
Oh yeah.
he is Lawrence Taylor.
Yep. That's a great one.
And yeah, this is from his last playing days season, 1993. And to show off the great fashion of the early 90s, there's a little LT with an earring and a lightning bolt.
Yep.
Nice.
That's
But
hilarious.
dude, I mean, any given Sunday, apparently the role of the middle linebacker was made just for him, and some of the hijinks that happened in that movie, based on his personal experiences, I had heard. Um, look, he destroyed quarterbacks, and you could ask Joe Theismann about this, and his
Yeah.
compound fractured leg, and that's forever in NFL lore now. And LT was a part of that. I had read apparently like uh, like on a Saturday night before the big game on a Sunday, he would send some to the opposing team's linemen, some women of the night, so
Right.
that those linemen would be exhausted
Oh
when they
gosh.
took the field against them the next day. And so, yeah, like this guy was like psychologically in there, physically in there. Money wasn't an object for him to win.
Chemically in there.
Apparently, yes, maybe some substances and some off the field choices.
Yep.
So, again, teams are trying to invent protections to protect against him.
Yeah.
So, he is a bad man for at many different levels. The big quote that I found on LT was from John Madden. And the great John Madden said, Lawrence Taylor defensively has had as big an impact as any player I've ever seen. He changed the way defense is played, the way pass rushing is played, the way linebackers play, and the way offenses block linebackers. And John Madden says that about you. I hold that in high esteem.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Okay, my
All right,
last
drum roll,
one.
right? All right,
Yeah.
Royce. Last but not least.
Before I do this, I kind of want to give at least a nod to some of the names that I missed that we should have
Oh,
had. We should have done a top 10 because guys like Hacksaw Reynolds and Dwight Mad Dog White and just some of the names they had of bad dudes were pretty awesome. And then guys like Lyle Alzado and John Matuzak that I didn't choose but easily could have chosen.
Yeah.
Dexter Manley was another dude that I always like, ooh, that dude I wouldn't want to mess with. But the guy I
Yeah.
did choose
Oh, nice.
just for the look. Really, Otis Sistrunk, that is one bad dude right there. So he's a guy that they called him. They said he went to the University of Mars because he didn't actually go to college, but he was so far out there that they said he was a Martian. And just he's another guy that came from the Continental Football League back in the '60s, and then just played his way. He just was so dominant that they brought him in the NFL, and he stuck and then played on those '70s Raiders championships teams. So phenomenal player, bad dude.
Nice. Hey, I forgot to tell you when you showed the Carl Eller card. I was watching a 80s show of The Fall Guy,
Uh-huh.
and they had some kind of bad guy or whatever, and his bodyguards were Carl Eller and Cedric Hardman,
Oh,
Hardman of
nice.
the 49ers.
That's
So they
awesome.
wanted to portray a bad dude. They
Yep.
used Carl Eller as one of those like, ooh, don't mess
I
with these
almost
guys.
put Cedric Hardman in there. He's another one that's who's
Yeah.
just awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were just like the muscle and the like, had the scowl and the look, and people were like, oh, oh, don't mess with those guys. And I
Yeah.
just thought that was kind of funny that they exemplified that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I
yeah,
mean,
I
I
I
was
I
saying,
had a hard time too whittling it down to five. There are so many tough guys and such a tough
Mean Joe
sport.
Green. What about Mean Joe Green? How did we
Yeah,
forget Mean
mean.
Joe Green? He's mean.
Yeah. Yeah. I did
well,
try to
like I
stay
said, though,
away from the
there's a
truly like
list, though.
Yeah.
yeah. I tried to stay away from the truly dirty players like Bill Romanowski and like the guys who spit on people and the unsportsmanlike type guys. Like I
Yeah.
don't feel like Lawrence Taylor was unsportsmanlike. I just feel like there were certain guys on the field, like Vontez Burfict or people like that were just like, dude, don't do that. But then there were the people who just hit hard and intimidated, and so yeah, it was a tough subject, but a fun one to look into.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, that laundry list is long. We could have done hey, here's an honorable mention for like a number
Yeah,
six person, but
yeah,
then yeah, here's all the other ones that didn't make the list, and again, it's all perspective. But let me throw this out there as just an open-ended question. Do you think that when we look at these great players, these bad men of the NFL, most of them came from like the 60s or 70s? Why is that? Do we reflect and go glorify that kind of,
Mhm.
intensity that they brought and the lore and the legend, or is the NFL with all the rules now just not as hard hitting as it once was?
Yeah, I think they've cleaned it up. Well, just like the 5 yard rule with the receivers and the cornerbacks and stuff, it's not as impact violence immediate. I mean, they're still like they're flying across the field probably faster now. And when you do get hit, I'm sure it hits as hard, but there's that separation aspect they've added to the game that allows it not to be as forceful, I guess. Um, because it used to be, and you used to be able to literally knock people in. And like I saw an interview with Phil Villapiano, who had basically his trainer basically mold a club out of like a cast. And so he would try to pop their head off or pop their helmet off and then club them with the other hand. So they were just because they didn't have rules against it. They could do it. And so if they could literally knock a guy out of the game, they would. So I think that's why we see them as bad dudes because they were allowed to. They were allowed to literally knock people out of the game.
Yeah, I think another part that kind of like makes it stick out in my mind is the lack of like all these like protein powders and all. They were doing it just like, I grew up on a farm and I threw hay around, or they were doing it without all the technology. Even their uniforms, they might have a one bar face mask, or they just did it without all the extras that players now have. All the technology and the training and all that. These were just guys who like just were naturally that way, kind of, or they did things like Deacon Jones to train themselves. So that's another reason. Part of it's nostalgia too, I think, from how old we are. But I think,
All in our 20s, young Aaron.
yes. But I think
We're
some of it is
well-read
just,
men.
yeah,
Yeah.
just the violence of the game, like Night Train Lane, that we talked about a while ago, just clotheslining people. You can't clothesline people anymore, but he would just, you know, just
Yeah.
clothesline them right across the neck. So it was just more brutal.
Well, definitely the Mean Joe Green aspect. I heard about him. Like, don't mess with him. He would like just basically push himself off of your body as an O lineman if you messed with him. He would bring it every play like that.
Yeah.
Well, we've got just 1 minute left, you guys. It's been so fun talking to you, and I feel like we could take some of these subjects and talk for hours. But
Yeah.
um, any closing thoughts in our final 58 seconds here?
And thank
Well,
you guys.
All right. Yeah, this was great. Thanks for the subject. We'll have to get together again and explore some other subject. But thank you all for watching. And you got Blitz Weekly or Card Blitz with Kelly. You got Viking Wax Press with Royce, and then mine is Pro Football Retro. So you can check it out. I think we're all going to try to put the video on all of our channels. So
That'll
thank you so
work.
much.
thanks, Aaron. Talk to you
Take care,
later.
guys.